What's up? Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. How you guys doing? Happy Friday. I feel like I get the fun stream Friday, almost the weekend. Good morning, Anira. Good morning, Tessa. Welcome in. Period. Good morning, Blair. Nice to see you. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me. Let me know if you guys can hear me, see me. Share my screen here momentarily. We'll go through the stream. Doing great. Good to hear. Life U9Z. Welcome in. Black Zero, good morning. Welcome in. Amar. Nunya Biz. I like that. Good morning. Welcome in, guys. Happy Friday. Hope you're doing well. Hope you guys are having a good week. Good morning from Portugal. Yeah, let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from this morning. I know we always have quite a great audience from all around. We'll get into the analysis here. We'll go through things that I'm watching out for today. And yeah, we'll watch what happens here. Today is a big one in terms of expirations, quad witching, just meaning there's a lot of options and futures contracts expirations today. Happens 4 times a year. I think 4 times a year. Could be wrong about that. I'm pretty sure. 4 times a year. So South Africa, Spain, from Kenya, Switzerland, Portugal. Welcome in, everybody. New Zealand, from Italy. Welcome in. Welcome in. Ecuador and Germany. Welcome in. Welcome in. Jakarta. Good morning, SMB Financial. One of our frequent guests on the show. Friend of the channel. Welcome in. Wilmington. Lovely. I think we talked about this before. Lived over there for a while. Love that area. Day 2, passed some evals after 11 months of studying. Day 2, made $800. Fantastic. Great job. Sounds like you did the right way of spending 11 months studying and then start working on passing accounts. Amazing job. The dark side of the moon. Dark side of the moon. Okay. Not from the dark side of the moon, but I got a moon watch, right? Speedmaster. Not the dark side of the moon edition though. Those are cool. Have you guys seen those? Super International Group. Samir, welcome in, welcome in. All right, so as we get started here, quick shout out to our sponsors of the channel, TradeZella. Check out the discount code CF20 to get the best discount. Prop Firm Trader as well. We will have giveaways today. Let me check with the team. Let me check with the team here. We do have giveaways today as well. So we have TradeZella, 3-month giveaway. We have, where is it? Dun, dun, dun. Alpha Capital and Apex. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. These will be selected by people's participation in the live stream. So if you're asking good questions, participating in the stream, you just might get selected for our giveaways today. Welcome in from India. Nice to see you. By the way, Apex discount, link CF. Make sure you check that out for the best discounts. Welcome in, welcome in. All right, so let's get into the session here today. Talk about the analysis that I'm watching out for here on ES Futures, S&P 500. First 8 months liquidating demo. That's good. Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay to for sure start out trading demo as you learn to use your broker, you learn the absolute basics, but as early as possible, I think it is good to trade live with a small amount of money that you can afford to lose and start learning to develop those emotional skills, technical skills, because if you trade with demo too long, you might get a false sense of confidence about your performance in the real world, and it doesn't necessarily translate. Nick B, welcome in from Jamaica. Hello. Love Jamaica. Very nice there. Very nice. Been over there for a few times. All right, you guys ready to get in some analysis for the day? I have a couple key levels that I'm watching marked on my chart here for you guys. Let me know how you like this. Trying to share both some candle chart here and my book map for the order flow. Oops. How do I get rid of this? There we go. So trying to get share my candle chart here for analysis at the same time as book map here, and let me know if that works for you guys. Side by side is nice. Okay, sweet. All right, so the main thing that I'm watching here, let me pull up my higher time frame charts and we'll talk about it. All right, so let's take a look at this first. So this is a screenshot from my other screen here. This is ES, the S&P 500 futures. Just looking at a daily chart here. And what I like to see here is just the overall kind of location and direction of the market. And a couple key things. One, we have this area. This is contract adjusted too, by the way. This area here around 6,600 to 6,650s roughly. Right, this area around these prior major lows. This was a key bottom that the market rallied out of aggressively multiple times on a higher time frame up to all-time highs. Since that last all-time high push, what was that? In January, mid-January, mid to late January. Since that, you can see the market has been pretty much making lower highs, grinding lower. We spent a good amount of time sideways in February here. But then broke down with a lot of additional pressures from the war with Iran. And you can see we've been working our way lower in this channel. Now, one thing that I'm watching out for, we haven't really had, in my opinion, like a major like waterfall type event sell-off. We've had selling for sure. There's a lot of pressure and heaviness in the market. But we've definitely continued to see a lot of aggressive bounces, especially kind of at the lows. So we see kind of forming this channel where we're working our way down. We're making lower highs. The direction is lower for sure right now. But every time we come to these lows, we do aggressively bounce. Now, we're also coming into this major area of support, we could call it. And we dipped just under those contract adjusted lows, right, briefly, and reclaimed aggressively. We spent a lot of time consolidating here, right? So in the near term, right, we've obviously had a downside direction, but right now we're near the lows of this channel. We're near the lows of this channel, and this channel has repeatedly bounced off the lows, back up to the highs of the channel every time we get down here. So we're near the lows of the channel. We're balancing right now, and we're also at this key area of potential support, right? So if we break down below here, that could, be a lot more aggressive type. This is a key spot, technically speaking, that bulls would want to defend. As low as this channel, right? Part of that is NQ has been a little bit stronger. Part of that has been that NQ has been a little bit stronger. It has not participated in this downside so drastically yet. No, I don't have any positions at the moment, right? I just trade short-term intraday. I do swing positions occasionally, but I have not swung any positions recently. So again, we're at a key level of support. We're balancing at the lows of this channel. So I'm watching out for potential bounces here. But again, in the near term, we're kind of balancing, right? So we'll get into that on some lower time frames. But let's also take a look over at NQ really quick. And let me drop these screenshots in the Discord. By the way, if you're not already in there, make sure you're checking out the Chart Fanatics Discord. It's a great free resource. I'll drop the screenshots of my analysis in here in the Matt Owen channel, so make sure you check that out. I have a channel under the CF Live team there, and you can check out the screenshots of my analysis there that we're talking through on stream here. Okay, so let's take a look at NQ. It's very similar. It just it's held up a little bit better. All right. So here's the most recent kind of key double bottom-ish area here and here, right? And you can see we're trying to break under here. We haven't had as significant. This is that range that we basically were in sideways all of February. We're still just kind of at the lows of that. Whereas relatively speaking from that structure, ES has dropped a bit lower, but nonetheless, we're kind of just consolidating here at the lows, similar to ES, right? I'm primarily watching ES today, but that's kind of the same higher time frame structure that I'm looking at there, right? Let's take a look here at the volume profiles. Get a clearer picture of what's going on for the game plan today. Right, so now looking at a 30-minute chart here on ES S&P 500 futures, I'm looking at the volume from yesterday. You can see we built a large balance range here where we see pretty much the extremes of that between around 67.55 and 66.55 and around 66.20.15 area, right? Actually, kind of want that down here around 66.15, right? So around 66.15, 66.20-ish is the lows here, around 66.55, 60, kind of the highs up here, right? So within this range, kind of within those ranges there are kind of the extremes that I'm paying most attention to. Right. So typically when I see the market in a balanced range like this, I look for failed breaks at the extremes to target reversions back to the middle. And you can see that's pretty much exactly what happened. We had a large, this was not what I would typically look to fade, right? We had a really large breakout on news yesterday. I think some statements by someone. However, we can see the lack of continuation there. In fact, we built a lot of volume there. So another distribution up here, right? And we just could never get back from that. And that turned into a big old nasty drop back to the lows of that range, right? Big old nasty overnight drop back to the lows of that range. But again, we swept out these lows, lacked continuation, got absorbed, and we're bouncing back in the middle. And so that leaves us with an inside session here going into this morning. And so what I'm watching here, one, is point of control so far is basically overlapped with yesterday. You can see once again we're forming a balance range volume distribution here right around the exact same, right in the heart of that exact same spot from yesterday. So in my opinion, this location right here is pretty much a don't touch it area for me personally. So I'm going to be very patient here. I don't want to I pretty much don't want to execute anything inside this, right? That's like the middle. This could be choppy here. What I am watching for is if we drop down to these lows and we see it defended aggressively again, I may look to take that long, target a pop back into the middle. If we pop back up into these highs and we fail to get continuation above that, I may look to, again, short that back for a reversion back to the middle. Now, if we go into squeeze mode today and we get a strong aggressive move directionally, especially, you know, if start to have a squeeze on an options and going into options expiration, I think it's less likely, but if it does happen, it could trigger, you know, a hedging event where, you know, dealers are forced to hedge as we get a squeeze one way or the other. That's possible. I would look for more volatility potentially next week after, you know, this options expiration kind of goes out of the way. I would watch out, you know, for potentially better setups and more volatility next week. So the similar extreme, if we really break under this like 6615 area and I see pops failing and signs of weakness, I'd probably be looking for ways to target a breakdown of 6600. But again, that's kind of scenario 2 for me. I'd really want to see really strong aggressive participants prove that for me. Until then, I'm first looking for fake outs and mean reversions here. We've got basically a double whammy back to back of balance ranges here in this. The market has had a very hard time getting out of this. So, you know, until proven otherwise, I'll continue to watch for the fake outs here. Does that make sense to everyone? Let me know if you have questions about that in the chat. We'll go through it. And you can see my anchored VWAP level here is basically dead in the middle of that range as well, 37. You can see we're just oscillating that here in the pre-market this morning. Yeah, so Tessa asked about volume delta divergence. So what I look at is the cumulative volume on the day here, which is in this bottom corner of the screen here. And the bubbles I look at are showing me delta by price. So especially for absorption reversals where I see significant players absorbing price at a key area, right? Then I look at the delta on the delta bubbles. I also look at similar things on my footprint charts. So couple things here on my candle charts. One, I have this marked, this key level here. That's around the highs of that consolidation range, near the high of that balance range. It was also the initial balance high yesterday, and that first hour high, we stayed inside that. We basically stayed inside initial balance all day yesterday, right? The initial balance of the first hour, we had a balance range and form inside that all day. You could have played initial balance reversals all day, ping-ponging back to the middle. Then we had that news event where we had that mega squeeze, but really all it did is pop to these pre-market highs, take them out, and come right back to the lows, right? So no significant shift of structure there. This blue zone here is that those higher time frame lows zone that I talked about on the daily chart, and that's just showing us that zone there. I have it marked here on looking at this 15-minute chart. So this is just an intraday 15-minute chart. Gives us a nice view of today and prior day here. And then this zone up here, I was marking basically the extreme highs here where we rejected, absorbed buyers and rejected, right? So these are areas that I'm potentially watching for fake outs to revert back into the middle here. Go Harali, welcome in. Good morning. Dubas, do I look at gamma exposure? No, I don't a ton. I'll look at the reports on it if something big is going on, but I do want to potentially start looking at that more. I pretty much see all the information that I need to see based on speed of the tape, price and volume, just reading it real time, right? If there's a gamma squeeze going on, if there's hedging going on, and I can see it in the way the tape's moving, right? But I do kind of want to get more into analyzing that for specific levels. I think that is potentially a good piece of context to have. Potentially volume absorption can cause a divergence. Yeah, Tessa. What do you normally, Kais asked, today's better for NQ or ES? I'm most experienced as an S&P trader. I do trade the NASDAQ as well, especially if S&P is really dead and grindy. But I do trade both, but I'm primarily an S&P trader. I would say don't look to do something one time. What do you normally trade? What do you normally have setups for? If you're still learning, then build your data and setups. There's no, I wouldn't say one's better, right? Now, if there's significant relative strength or weakness for one or the other, that can play an effect. Like you typically want to play, at least as a short-term trader, with the leading instrument. You're going to have better, cleaner moves playing with the leading instrument rather than the lagging instrument. So in that regard, ES has been kind of leading the downside, so it's potentially a better instrument for trading to the downside. Yeah, DG Finance, I don't really track that a ton. Like I said, I get kind of all the information that I need for setups based on volume profiles analysis, supply and demand analysis, and then just reading the tape with bookmap and footprint charts and stuff real time. Smash the like, guys, if you want to get into it today. We'll go through some in-depth order flow analysis. Helps us out a ton. It's free to do if you smash the like button. Subscribe if you want to be a part of the channel regularly. We have fantastic traders live here on Chart Fanatics Live every morning. Lots of giveaways, but the real giveaway is immense amount of time and value from the traders here that are giving you guys valuable information for trading. Do you look at the CVD and layer that in your thesis? Not a ton, Nate. I look at the cumulative delta by specific price in a specific area, but I don't necessarily look at just the CVD. I will look at it more if we come to an area and the CVD on the day flips, and so we see a lot of delta flipping in a specific price range, and then that flips the delta on the day. That could be something interesting to me. Thanks, D-Boss. Appreciate that. I said I like how you do live trading with an educational focus. That's my goal, man. My goal is to make this educational for people to learn and get a lot of value out of, right? There's enough Lambos and Rolexes on Instagram. I think what people really need is genuine just education. Do you adjust your strategy or analysis during contract rollover? I feel like this week indices are going weird things. Maybe it's just me. Tendra, I don't really adjust my strategy or anything. I just am a lot more patient and selective. I've taken a lot fewer trades than just sitting back and taking fewer trades, waiting for higher, better key levels, better extremes and things like that. So it's important to identify the conditions and adapt to that. Maybe that means adapting your trade management a little bit, not changing your strategy, but adapting your trade management a little bit, potentially slowing down your execution, not getting yourself chopped up in the middle. We've seen a lot of periods recently where the market will make an imbalance move and then spend a lot of time chopping sideways in balance ranges. And so it behooves you to not involve yourself in the middle of choppy ranges when that occurs. All right, good questions, guys, good questions. So Eljav said you look at fair value gaps, but you feel like you don't see them in the right places. Yeah, I mean, candle chart patterns, to be honest with you, can be misleading. I think the most powerful tool is learning to read the order flow analysis and volume profiles in real time to add confluence to like the chart patterns and things that you're seeing. That is going to add significantly more context, one, for the direction of the market, who's in control of the auction, the real auction, and not, because candle chart patterns can change depending on, what time frame you're looking at, right? And I'm not saying you can't trade with price action alone. There are very good traders that trade with price action alone, but at least for me, I add a lot more confluence and precision by using more volume by price analysis, so volume profiles, and real order flow analysis to kind of gauge the market auction participants in real time that are forming supply and demand in real time. And then I have a much better idea of, when a pattern is forming with price action and it aligns with analysis from the actual volume and the actual auction that's going on. It's like, oh, okay, well, this one is probably one that I should pay attention to, right? The price action patterns form because of the market auction, not the other way around. When will Chart Academy be released? Soon, like the Chart Fanatics live team just put out. Make sure you are joining the wait list. You'll get notified, right? So market's kind of pressing up here into the open. We got 4 minutes till the market open here, and we're kind of seeing a lot of aggressive buying here. We can see the cumulative volume delta since I opened Bookmap like 6:30 this morning, something like that. Since I opened Bookmap this morning, you can see the large positive delta here. You can see how much larger the aggressive buying is at the highs. Look how small the selling is at the lows, right? So this is, you know, when the move is directional, right? And we're not seeing like an absorption reversal, but when the move is directional, this is what's, if you guys have read the book Studies in Tape Reading, you referred to this as reading the business end of the arrow versus the feather end of the arrow, right? The business end of the arrow being the aggressive market participants driving price in that direction, and the feather end of the arrow being the weaker participants, right, that are kind of pulling back with weakness here, right? And so in this moment, again, this can flip, but in this moment, we're seeing a lot of aggressive buying driving price higher in this channel, and weaker, smaller selling in the lows here at this in the pre-market here. Again, just analysis for the present moment, and you can see how we're consistently holding above this anchored VWAP level here. So just a point of reference here, that could do a 180 and flip off the 930 bell. Also, you know, we're in the middle of the balance range here in the pre-market, but I'm just pointing this out for context and analysis purposes here, something to pay attention to. Now, if this continues and there's a lot of effort up here into these 6650s, continued strong effort from buyers, but no reward and price does not break out, then that could trigger a big old waterfall right back down. My VWAP, it's anchored from the beginning of February here on Bookmap. Since we kind of started that sideways range and then have been grinding our way lower in that channel. Just been watching this anchored VWAP. So we're, what is this? 32s to 45s, about 12, 13 point channel here that we're holding. So decent sized channel here. Ice latte. What are you guys drinking? What are you guys drinking? Ice lattes for me. Got a little chilly here in Florida, Central Florida. Past week dropped back down a little bit. Thought we were past all the cold, but dropped back into the 40s. It's warming up again today though. Still rocking the ice lattes. Let me know, you guys, hot coffee or iced coffee? Let me know. Or something else. Tea maybe for my European friends. Sugar-free tropical punch because you're 5. All right, Joe. That's funny, dude. Joe's a freaking bodybuilder. I wouldn't expect anything less than some sugar-free tropical punch. Got protein powder in that, Joe? Straight espresso. Italian espresso. Hot coffee. Ice cold beer. Hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. All right, so here's the 930 bell. I'm definitely not looking to touch this thing in the middle of the balance range in the first few minutes here, guys. We'll see what happens. Take a look over here at NQ. Ooh, NQ fell off a little cliff there, a lot more so. Still in the same similar range here. Man, look at this 15-minute grind. So this is an example of what I was talking about though. Just looking at the charts here. See how see how this thing is just grinding, but we don't really see the size of participants at the highs or the lows of this candle. So, wow, NQ is dumping faster here. NQ is kind of breaking that channel down. Starting to a little bit on ES here. DG, really, I have kind of setups kind of in mind going into. It really just depends on structure and confirmations. Like if I see structure form nicely on ES or NQ in particular, and it aligns with like relative strength or weakness, you know, I'll take a trade on one or the other. Yep, so we did a 180 flip there off the 930. A lot of aggressive buying right into the highs of that channel. Unrewarded effort. Bam, got smacked right back down. Very, very important here to note in the middle of the balance range that we've had for 2 days now, especially when we're in a channel inside the middle of the balance range, you don't want to chase with the aggressive participants at the extremes. You don't want to really, at least for me, I don't like to execute really any trades in the middle of that. But for sure, you don't want to chase the outer edges of a channel at the extremes, especially in the middle of a balance range. Try water and coffee? You mean like an Americano? Sachin? I drink Americanos. 4-minute YouTube lag? No way. Is it really that bad? I mean, YouTube has always got a little bit of a delay. I'd be surprised if it was that substantial. Maybe your internet. SMB Financial said no lag. So some selling coming into the lows here. I'm most interested more around that area 15 to 20, maybe 66, 15 to 20 area. I still have this line on Bookmap here at 66.21. This was an area during the open yesterday where large orders hit. So I'm watching that. Braj Mohan said, first time I see the bubble strategy. What are the most common reasons for your losing trades? Depends on if it's just a losing trade where you just lost money and price just moved against you. It was a good trade, good setup, or if it was a mistake. I would say if it was a mistake, most commonly it's probably because I got in a little too early, trying to be a little too early, and then, you know, take a paper cut. And lately it has just been prices often consolidated and been very whippy for a period of time, right? So you can get, especially if you do like I do and it just stops break even pretty fast, you can get kind of chopped out break even a few times before the move occurs. Yeah, maybe trying to predict instead of waiting for the market to just actually really give you the confirmations of what's happening. Week's been good, Trader John. I took not too many trades this week. It's been a very slow and patient week for me. I took one trade, I think, this week. I took one quick scalp during FOMC. There's been opportunities. I just either didn't catch the confirmations in time, wasn't paying attention, or just didn't like the location or conditions. And so just been staying patient. Very patient. I am cautiously optimistic. Let's say that. I'm cautiously optimistic that conditions will be better, volatility, etc. will be good kind of post this quad witching today into next week. I'm cautiously optimistic about that. So we're down here in this, towards the lows of this range from yesterday. Not really at the extremes, but we're towards the lows. What are the best ways to read order flow with bookmap? Without bookmap? For me, I use footprint charts on things like Sierra chart and footprint chart. Sierra chart and Tradeovate rather. I use footprint charts. I can show you what that looks like here in my footprint chart. And I'm just looking at the completed orders. I don't have the heat map like I do on bookmap to show me the level 2, but I'm just looking at the cumulative volume. So I look at 5-point range bars here. I look at the visual down here of the cumulative delta in those ranges, and then I look at the cumulative delta and volume by the tick that's completed. So I like, this is called basically a delta footprint chart. This one's Tradeovate. You can also see I have the day volume profile here. This is a good one. I like this. Let's see what else. Honestly, that's all I use. Other than that, you just have the good old-fashioned time and sales, which I used to use on Thinkorswim, just looking at time and sales. Yeah. I mean, the tool, guys, the tool is just a tool, right? The tool is just a tool. There's lots of different ways to analyze order flow and markets and volume. It's your skill and your ability to use the tool and interpret the information. So there's lots of tools that you can use. Excuse me, sorry. VX is applying a little pressure here. I didn't really talk about VX too much today. Let me zoom out here and talk about VX a little bit. Where did the thing go? Oh, here it is. So speaking of VX, 4-hour chart here, VX, you can see how we've kind of been consistently holding higher lows. Tried to dump back a little bit this day, but still holding higher lows, kind of above this area around 20, kind of holding above that area. We're seeing we dropped back overnight here and we're perking up again a little bit. So we'll see if we see VX get elevated substantially, that could add more pressure for a breakdown here. Yeah, I don't look at so much lower time frame stuff on VX. I more look at higher time frame, one, just kind of direction and key levels of support. I'll pay a lot more attention to it if there becomes a large imbalance, not imbalance, if there becomes a large divergence between ES and VX, then I start to pay a lot more attention for potential reversal. Some aggressive buying has been stepping in here. So this line here around 21 is this area where I saw some big orders during the opening range yesterday. And we can see starting to see a lot of aggressive buying here just above that here. Good questions. Yeah, futures. So stock update daily said another boring day, high priced market, and seems like a lot of people, future seems high risk. Yeah, I think a lot of positioning right now is risk averse. Market is risk averse right now. Not like panic selling right now. I haven't seen like really strong like panic type forced selling type event, but definitely, there is heaviness. Economically, Fed rate cuts certainty has declined, right? So that's adding downside pressure. The markets have not been expecting many rate cuts. We're seeing more aggressive buying coming in here too now. And a lot of aggressive buying going on in this area here. So in terms of economically, the Fed rate cut expectations have fallen off a cliff. And for perspective, like if the Fed cuts rates, that's gonna give a lot of juice, like stimulus to the markets. But when there is a lack of that, it is going to add downside pressure on the markets, right? So the markets have been less and less anticipating rate cuts from the Fed. There's also stuff going on, between Jerome Powell being possibly replaced or is going to be replaced, I guess, at the Fed. I don't know, right? So there's some uncertainty there, potentially around direction that the Fed takes if that happens, when that happens. And then we've got the geopolitical events going on with the US, Israel, and Iran, and the disruption that that's causing to the oil, the Strait of Hormuz. So there's a lot of uncertainty going on. But at the same time, there is a heavy positioning in the markets for puts. So everybody, at least from things that I've seen, a lot of people are already kind of positioned and insured for the downside. So there hasn't been an event that I've seen, like the biggest sell-offs happen when panic happens, when nobody's really ready for it, nobody really expects something. Right now, it kind of seems like everybody kind of expects the downside and is positioned and insured for it. So we're just kind of grinding our way lower. So it's an interesting time. It's an interesting time in the markets for sure. I like the aggressive buying here. I'm not so keen on the location. Not quite at the extreme of this balance range here. Yeah, we're not quite at the extreme or anything. But we did dip into this zone here that I talked about in blue. And on the dip into this zone in blue down here, we can see all the aggressive buying that stepped in. Right, if I zoom out here, see more of the day. You can see there were some bigger bids on the heat map here around 24:30, and you can see those filled. Right, so these are big passive buyers here, especially this one down here. So we filled aggressive selling into this big passive buyer down here, and then since that filled, a lot of aggressive buying's come in. So just zooming out here, right, you can see where I marked that box a little while ago. Since then, aggressive buyers really took over from there. Personally, I didn't see quite enough confirmations that I wanted to long it, and it wasn't quite at the location that I would want it to be either. But nonetheless, we spotted the absorption of sellers down here and then aggressive buying stepping in. Yeah, just kind of zooming out here on the 15-minute charts and ES and NQ. Just looks like a whipsaw, doesn't it? Even looking at 15-minute chart here, just definitely want to be patient for the extremes. This is kind of in the, come on, Thinkorswim. This is kind of in the middle of that area that I said I just don't really want to touch it. DG Finance said, I've spent enough time trading in barcodes the last week. Yeah. Once you've touched that fire enough times and you've burned yourself over the years enough times, you just have no interest in trying to do that anymore. TradeX Jitsu said this run up was 50% of the fib levels from the 6608 low. Absorption was pretty clear on Bookmap. So cool. Yeah. Yeah, so 50% area fibs. I do look at fibs, mostly just looking at the ranges that the market auction forms and seeing the 50% of that. No audio. Did the audio go out? Anybody else got the audio? Everybody else said the audio is working, so it might be you, brother. Tiger Trades, how did you start your trading journey? I'm interested in hearing if you started out with prop firms. No, when I started trading, there was no such thing as prop firms, at least not that I'm aware of. I opened my first accounts to start trading back in like 2016. I was primarily swing trading stocks and options, and did that for years. And then over time, shifted more into day trading, options, and futures. I trade the S&P 500 primarily. What we're seeing on screen here is ES futures, the futures contract for the S&P 500. Wonder Sprout Kids who asked, what stock are you trading? This is the S&P 500 index, the futures contract on the S&P. So even when I trade options on SPY or QQQ, I still do my analysis and everything on the futures contracts. So I still do my analysis on the futures, even if I trade stock or the options. So not entirely surprising. We're just hanging out here, barcoding in the middle of this balance range. We got significant expirations today for options and futures contracts. So continuing to stay patient. A lot of people know how to take good trades, right? I think many people know how to take good trades when there's a good location and good confirmations. What's really hard is being patient and disciplined, especially when it's just not in the cards. All right, that for most traders that have some degree of competence, that becomes probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest struggle. Some aggressive selling just stepped in here. So we saw this surge in aggressive buying up here, back up just above this anchored VWAP. And we started to see it sell off, and then look at the second push, right? I'm not taking a trade off this because of the location, but this is something that I really like to see if I'm looking to go short, is in a surge of aggressive buying, right? And look at the heat map here, see how it got absorbed, and then aggressive selling back. And then on the second push with a lower high, look how much weaker the buying is. So this is a sign of exhaustion from buyers. When we see a lot of aggressive buying especially at a key level, potentially like VWAP here. A lot of aggressive buying, surge, fail, and then a second push with a lot less delta. That's a sign of absorption and then exhaustion of buyers, which can trigger exactly what we saw, which aggressive selling, basically seeing the weakness, stepping in and crushing price lower. I wonder if any news headline came out though, because that is a significant amount of sudden selling. Let me check. There's been no oil. I saw a headline come out. There's been no crude oil has sailed through Hormuz. I can't pronounce that. I don't know if that's the right way. In the past 24 hours due to market assessments. Trump assails NATO over the lack of support in Iran war. See a headline about that 6 minutes ago. So 2 headlines that I see is Trump unhappy with NATO of the lack of support, and there's been no oil that's made it through in the last 24 hours. I don't know. Is that really news? It's kind of the same stuff that I've already known about. I don't know about you guys. So now we drop down to the extreme here towards that 16 area. See a lot of aggressive selling. We see some bids down here at this level. More aggressive selling stepping in. It's a bigger bid down here at the 66.15s. VX is spiking a bit. What's crude doing? Crude futures have been kind of flat around this 95 area for some time. See large aggressive selling into these lows a couple times here. Yeah, so we had a barcode in the middle of the range and then just sudden dump to the lows here. Yeah, Sachin, I would agree with that. Price action wants to kill a weak mindset. You got to have a lot of mental resilience in these conditions, for sure. Starting to see some aggressive buying come in. If I see this aggressive buying take control and I see another pullback hold, I may be interested in fading it long, target and pop back into the 66.30s. It's kind of tough to read. It's kind of a little weird here. In these conditions, for me, it's been when in doubt, sit out. When in doubt, sit out and preserve capital in these conditions. Bigfoot Plays asked, what do you use? Literally, I don't think any good tools that I use are free, but I use Bookmap, Thinkorswim, Trade of 8, Sierra Chart. That's what I use. There's elements that I use for order flow in all of them. Bookmap, the heat map, the bubble chart of delta bubbles. Trade of 8, I look at, I like the candle charts with volume profiles on there and footprint charts on there. Sierra chart, same thing. Footprint charts and volume profiles. Thinkorswim, I just like it for charting. I've used it for the longest time in options, but I mainly don't do much order flow on there. I used to look at time and sales on there, but not really anymore, because the footprint charts and bookmap are basically showing me a better visualization of the time and sales. But again, guys, the tools are just a tool, right? It's your skill over time, learning how to read analysis and tools. That's what's going to be the edge. Is you. The edge is not the tool. The edge is your skill, your ability to use them, right? So there's lots of different things. How to follow discipline. I don't know, man. When there's a saying that I like: when the pain of change becomes less than the pain of staying the same, that's when you'll start to really make the changes, right? So when you've had enough pain experience from being undisciplined, then you start finding a way to set the limits for yourself to stay disciplined. There's things that you could do, right, to help build discipline. For me, like doing things outside of trading to help build discipline. For me, running, doing other things, right, to help you build a disciplined mindset, right? A lot of people just get addicted to the idea of learning about things, but not actually like putting it into practice and actually doing it. Some big selling here, kind of got absorbed here on this pump. See this big bid down here at 66.10. Another one up here just got filled too. We can see it right here, 66.11s. Big surge and negative delta there at those lows. Sorry guys, my view keeps kind of getting skewed here. For one, because I have it smaller, split screen here, and two, these big orders keep like skewing my view, so I'm trying to get it in a decent view for us here. This is some pretty heavy selling. I'm not going to be quick on the trigger to try to fade this right now. We just broke the lows. So I'm kind of hands off here, watching and seeing what develops. The next thing is that area around 6,600, big whole number, sitting just under price down here. What's up, robot? 1,100 lots filled and still went lower. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I see a big absorption like that, not really absorption, just an order filled, right? I look at absorption more over a period of time, not just a single print. But and still pressing lower here. We just broke prior day lows and the overnight lows. There was kind of a double bottom around this area, kind of around 66.10s. So we'll see what happens here. Some aggressive buying stepping in, but it's kind of heavy here. Seeing some buying stepping in right here, but crushed. Look at that. Wow. Yeah, sellers have entered the chat. Look at that sweep. A little bit of buying came in, just got tanked there by those guys. Wow. Yeah, I'd be cautious here, guys. Not trying to be a first buyer here we're at the lows of this range, but VX is spiking over the highs now, over 25. I'm still looking, until really proven otherwise, where we break under here and pops fail below, I'm still first kind of watching for the fake out still. But it's kind of heavy here. Sellers are just drilling this thing lower. I'm not really interested in chasing it short down here though. Yeah, chilling on my end for sure too. Wonder Sprout said, can you suggest to me where to learn stuff? Because the market, we don't know where. Check out Chart Academy. Get on the wait list. Can we get the link sent in the chat for the Chart Academy waitlist? Make sure you join in there, guys. Yeah, 6,600 is a key spot here. Big whole number. We can see we dipped down there. Potentially could get a volatile pop off of it. I'd potentially look to scalp it here. If I see exhaustion from sellers down here, I see big buyers stepping in, I might look to scalp it. This is definitely a line in the sand, like somebody said in the chat. Joe said in the chat, I would agree. Key level. Just below the extreme lows of this balance range too. Some aggressive buying stepping in pretty fast here. I didn't catch it. I didn't see much confirmations at the time here. I see this surge of selling in here, so I do like that. Started to see some aggressive buying coming in, but let's take a zoom out here. It's a little low volume area back up around 66.22. If we do pop back to around that 66.20 area and fail, watch out for that. If we fail to recapture back in the balance range and pops fail under 66.15 to 21, 22-ish, then I'd watch out for this bigger breakdown. Take a zoom out here. This is that area. So right here on this session volume profile, let me expand this over a little bit, guys. So checking out this session volume profile here, guys, we can see where all that volume was built in that balance range. And then we can see as the aggressive selling dropped, this is that lower volume area that I talked about right around 2022, right? And then you can see how all the selling came in after that. Right, so if we do pop back up here, probably around like 15 to 22-ish area, which also kind of aligns just under VWAP there. If we do pop back up there and fail to recapture back in this range, then we could see a more aggressive breakdown of 6,600. On the flip side, if buyers recapture this, hold this 6,600 area here, we could have a big old pump back up into the highs of that balance range, or at least the middle of it. Kais Chi said, you hit your sell and full take profit. Heck yeah. Congrats. Nice. So giveaways today are for participation in the chat. So members that are participating, asking good questions, etc., will be selected by the team for the giveaways. And also it helps if you smash the like button. So make sure you smash the like button, participate in the chat, ask good questions, participate in the stream, and you'll be entered in by the team on the back end to be selected for the giveaways here. Pretty slow here from these buyers. Anybody feel like it's been a game of red light, green light recently, where it's like green light, tape speeds up, price speeds up, and then red light slows instantly back down, chops around? Thanks, Tobias. DG Finance battle going on here, 6610, yeah. Starting to see a little more aggressive buying stepping in here. I do like how we had this aggressive selling and then we had weaker selling on this second pullback here. But I think the downside momentum came in a little too hard. It made me a little, this was not the cleanest balance range fake out here, right? That was a pretty large takeover from sellers there. So a little hesitant stepping in front of that here. Do you take into consideration bias and direction when trading? Absolutely. I look at not like bias, like I'm looking for shorts today, I'm looking for longs today or something like that, or I think today's going to go up or go down. I do analysis based on, volume and supply and demand and who's in control of the auction. And I come up with key levels and game plans based on, okay, like if we see these auction participants take over and, I'll have long or short scenarios set up. Some days I'll only have long or I'll only have short scenarios just because of what the structure is in the market, who's in control. But I mean, generally speaking, I want to play with the participants that have the prevailing trend in the market, right? If the market's downtrending, I'm going to be a lot more interested in shorting highs and break and retest of lows and things like that. And we have seen the market kind of downtrending. But in the near term, we're coming to the lows of that channel on the higher time frame. Like I talked about, we have this 6,600 key area that we talked about. So I'm hesitant at this location to short into the lows because I know we could easily, bounce. So if I see a true solid breakdown and then I see pops that are failing that offer an opportunity to short some highs, that's different. But I'm not wanting to be a first buyer against the downside momentum at the lows, and I'm also not wanting to be a first seller, not a first seller, but a late seller trying to chase the lows. Wonder Sprout asked, do you know the VIX and SPX strategy? What do you mean the strategy? I don't think there's the strategy. There could be many. Starting to see some more aggressive buying coming in here. So buyers are putting up a fight here, trying to hold this 6,600 area, but so far it's not been significant. So far it's not been significant. What is your morning preparation? I get up, I read, I have nutritious breakfast, I have coffee, I exercise, I get daylight. Those are like all things on my checklist to do before I get down at come to my screens to trade. Yeah, Dylan. Okay, so you're talking about Dylan O'Neill's strategy on Chart Fanatics about VX and ES divergence. It's a good one. I don't like specifically trade that strategy, but I use it in my analysis for sure. Good question. If we see large aggressive participants driving direction, kind of like what we're seeing to the downside right now, that's what I'd like to see for a true like breakdown. Large aggressive participants driving price direction. Now, just because I see that doesn't necessarily mean I have a trade set up for it. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily, it can also just add confluence to be like, okay, I want to be cautious of like trying to catch a bottom here now. I was looking to kind of fade the extreme here, targeting a mean reversal, but the size and aggression of participants on this breakdown has made me a lot more cautious of it, right? If I tried to just see absorption one time, like here, could have taken a loss here, could have taken a loss here, might take another loss, right? So I'm seeing in real time the size and aggression of sellers, and they're getting rewarded by price continuation lower here. I'm not seeing that, at least yet, this could change, but I'm not seeing like a seller trap, right? I'm seeing a breakdown. So I don't necessarily have a trade set up right now. I'm not chasing it lower, but I'm also like, okay, this is information that I need to not try to catch the bottom here, because, right, I'm seeing large aggressive selling being rewarded with price breakdown, not an absorption reversal trap. Good question. Congratulations, Tiger Trades Fanatic. You've won the Apex account. Follow the instructions there. We still have other giveaways for our participants in the live stream here. We have a TradeZella 3-month subscription, and we have a Alpha Capital, I believe. Check again here. Can never remember. Yeah, Alpha Capital as well. So kind of what I was saying here, we see large aggressive selling increasing at the lows, driving price lower, right? We did see, and this is, right, this is a red flag for me on a trade setup, right? So if I'm looking at a low, let's just talk about it here, right? If I'm looking at a low like this, and this is that key area, you know, around those prior lows, and I'm looking at potentially a failed breakdown reversal, right? I would want to see bids like this. I would want to see large aggressive selling like this, and I would want to see it absorb and not move lower. And I would want to see aggressive buying come in and quickly and aggressively move price lower. And I would want to see pullbacks with weaker negative delta, right? But in this example, right, I was watching for that kind of fake out setup here. But in this example here, look at this. We just see a surge of aggressive selling increasing into the lows. We see a weak pop here. Look at how small the buying is. And we see another surge of aggressive selling here, right? Filling these bids, yes, but continuing to drop price lower. And then we see an attempt from buyers to pop again here, but this is relatively weak and small, not fast, large, aggressive buying, right? And then another surge of aggressive selling, right? So that's important to identify, to be like, okay, whoa, pump the brakes. I'm not trying to catch this setup here because the market is clearly telling me, right, not good confirmations here. I'm seeing aggressive participants controlling price direction here, driving a breakdown. So right now, you know, I'm chilling because I was not positioned for the breakdown here. I'm not trying to chase it to the lows because we could easily pop. We could see a quick aggressive pop, stop hunt, right? But I'm not, wow, this has really become a scribble. Sorry, guys. Right, so I'm not positioned for the downside here already, but I'm also not willing to chase it at the lows, and I kind of invalidated that setup just by reading what was the reaction to price down here, right? Seeing more confirmations of a true breakdown here, not an absorption trap reversal. And that's super important. I can't emphasize that enough, right? Because a lot of people, especially getting newer into order flow and stuff, they start, and I'm guilty of this too sometimes, guys, I'm guilty of this too, is we might see these bids here at this location, and we might see, you know, large absorption like this one time, and you might be like, you know, let me take an entry here, I'm going to fade this, right? Well, that's dangerous, because context is, you know, buyers have already tried a few times. They're getting weaker and weaker on these pops, and there's no aggression retaking control from buyers, right? You're just trying to catch an absolute low there because you think you see absorption one time from one big order, right? And that's dangerous. You might occasionally catch some absolute bottoms that way, but you'll catch a lot of paper cuts that way. Starting to see more aggressive buying coming in here now. We dropped all the way down to the 6590s here, under that 6600 area. So if we see an aggressive pop that fails, actually look at this. So on this breakdown, this is another key point too. On this breakdown here, this is something I talked about in my pre-market game plan, but I didn't catch it, which was if we see an aggressive breakdown under 6620 to 6615, I'd potentially look for pops to fail. Look at this aggressive selling on that breakdown there, which again didn't get absorbed and reversed. It broke down further, and then this pop into there, look where that failed, right at that. Right, so that could have been a potential break and retest under that 6615 area, which was around that prior day low. And in that case, I probably would have just been looking for a breakdown of 6600, targeting like 6600 to 90 here. That was actually on my pre-market game plan. I didn't catch it though. So, however, you know, two things that were on my game plan around this level here. Two things that were on my game plan was to see a fake out with large absorption and reversal around this 6615 area. That was on my game plan. However, the other thing that was on my game plan was a potential break and retest. And I did not take the break and retest, but I saw that confirmation, and that kept me from trying to catch the bottom on it for that reversal. So no trades is better than not identifying the conditions and taking a silly loss. What time frames do I trade? I don't really trade price action, so it's not like I trade a time frame that I'm looking for a price action structure to form. But I do analysis on daily chart, weekly, daily, 4-hour charts. So where most of my technical analysis comes from, as well as I really like 30-minute charts for just looking at volume profiles, like I went through in the pre-market. And then intraday, in addition to like watching the real auction and order flow on bookmap and footprint charts, I often like to look at just a 15-minute chart. I think is a nice view of the day, or sometimes I'll even drop it down to a 2-minute chart. I like to just kind of maintain awareness of the overall structure that's forming, right? And in addition to looking at my actual trade setups on order flow. Volume is getting low. Yeah, the volume is kind of dwindling as we get down here. I don't really have a level down here, so it's kind of, we were kind of breaking down. I'm kind of seeing if we get a pop, then I might be more interested in some kind of a short. The next area that I have my eyes on here, let me pull up my higher time frame charts. There's been very little pop since we started this sell-off. Since we started this sell-off at 66.40 at 9:45 this morning, there's been very, very little pops. It's just kind of gone pretty much straight down. So since here, right, there's just a lot of selling. We popped a little bit here, a lot of selling, a little bit, just very, very little pops to short into. So taking a look here, man, I don't have much. I don't have much on the charts here. I don't see much until like 65.50s. 65.50s to 6,500-ish. Down there, just marked that. So this could, like I said, if we do break out of that consolidation range, which we did, this could turn a little bloody here. So I see this consolidation area here that we rallied out of, right? So if we kind of break under here and hold, I don't, you know, either today or next week, I don't see much from stopping there, right? We'll see what develops, because we can always, could be new information that develops on the auction in real time, right? We could form a new demand zone if a lot of buyers come in, and then we could rally off of it. But for right now, from technical analysis, I don't see much until we come down to this zone, these lows down here. Congratulations, D-Boss. You've won the Alpha Capital Group Challenge for your participation today in the stream. Check out the link from the team there. Head over to the Chart Fanatics Live Discord, Chart Fanatics Discord, to make sure you claim that. Sick win. Yeah, I don't have much location for me, right? I want to be wary of just seeing buying and trying to go long here, because I just don't have much location here. Until I see something significant new structure form on the order flow here, I don't have much location here, so I'll be looking at the auction in real time to see what develops, right? If we go in, like, for example, right? Let me show you this, right? If we come down here and say, you know, for 30 minutes or so, we are all of a sudden we start seeing big absorption here, which we see on the heat map, right? Big absorption, and then we see a shift of structure back up where there's large aggressive buying and then weak selling pullbacks. If I see a major shift in structure like that, then that might change for me. But right now, I'm not trying to just see a little bit of buying and try to catch the bottom here. We've kind of broken structure to the downside. There's a lot of downside momentum. Yes, it could happen, right? A headline could come out, Trump could say something, and this thing could go ding, right? But the odds of catching that, not good. Also, the risk versus reward, at least for me, like I don't see any structure or anything. Like if I just go short here, just because the market's moving down, you know, where am I putting my stop and why, right? Seeing a little bit of effort here from buying, but you know, I would like to see some kind of structure. We're trying to do it. We have this 6,600 area. Let me put a line here. Drop a line here on Bookmap so we can pay attention to that 6,600 area. That's a key spot. You know, if we form a bottom here with a lot of absorption of sellers, we see exhaustion from sellers, we recapture above 6,600 and pullbacks hold above, maybe I'll be interested in holding that and taking that long. We also see the 20 EMA, which is a good indicator of intraday control, is just above here, right around 6,600. So possibly if we recapture above that with some aggressive buying, hold above that, pullback holds above that, and I may be interested in possibly scalping that some long as we stop hunt late shorts here, maybe pop back up into 66, 15, 12, 15, 20. You just want to be careful, you know, having feelings of emotion, FOMO, whatever, right? So let's talk about the scenario, right? Say you see this sell-off and you're like, crap, you know, I didn't capitalize on this. I didn't take a trade. I missed this move. And then you see the slightest sign of buying and you're like, you know, this is my chance. I want to catch a home run reversal here because I see a little bit of buying. Not good confirmations or anything. You're just feeling emotional because you missed out on price movement to the downside. But the reality is, like, if you didn't have a trade set up, a location and confirmations, anything, you didn't miss anything. The market's just moving. That doesn't mean anything, right? The market moves up and down 90% of the time. If we don't have context, location, confirmations for a trade setup, it doesn't mean anything. You didn't miss. So get yourself out of that mindset of you missed out every time price makes a move, right? Because it's going to lead you to take dumb trades. So we're just kind of hanging out here down at these lows, consolidating a bit. Again, be cautious chasing it without a good setup where you see risk versus reward for you. I'd be cautious trying to be a first buyer, trying to catch the bottom like Superman, put the world on your shoulders. Right? I guarantee you your couple contracts on your prop firm ain't moving the market. Do you take into consideration the initial balance of regular trading hour session? Yes, 100%, absolutely. Trader John, I talked about that area and levels from that in the pre-market session, and I have it marked here on my chart, key level initial balance high, 66.55 area. And I was also watching this area from the lows, which again, those levels also align not only with initial balance there from that first hour, but it also aligned with the balance range that we saw form on the volume profile. It also aligned with the pretty much the extremes of the day yesterday as we consolidated in there all day, right? Minus this pump and dump where we had this pump off news, right? I don't give much weight to that. Good question, good question. What makes you doubt a setup when confirmations are there, but price isn't reacting to volume specifically for the bottom or top reversal? Exactly that. If I see partial confirmations, hang on, some aggressive buying's coming in here, back over 6,600. If I see partial confirmations, a big thing for me is reading effort versus reward in the market auction, right? So when I'm reading the order flow, I'm reading the speed of price movement relative to the size of orders coming in. Like right now, we're seeing a lot of aggressive buying and it's getting a lot of effort with price movement right here at this moment, right? So this is something a little different than what we've seen so far. I don't know if it'll continue, but this is speed and aggression from buyers 2 times now off these 65.90s back over 6,600 that we haven't seen yet, right? So I'm looking at the effort versus reward of price movement, and you can see that pretty clearly on a footprint chart. Let me show you my footprint chart here while we watch this and talk about it, right? So looking at my footprint chart here, you can see in the short term, we saw decent effort at the bottom here from aggressive sellers to break down this area twice and did not get continuation. So there was some decent effort right there at the bottom of those footprint bars from aggressive sellers that did not get continuation. And then we see a surge of aggressive buying here that got a lot of continuation fast, right? So there was, and we see that delta there, right? So there was a lot of effort here, but no reward lower. Effort here and price quickly moved higher, right? So that became a key spot. Now I'm watching this aggressive buying that's coming in, right? If I see a pullback here, I may be interested in taking this long, targeting back up into the 66.15, 66.20s. So if we kind of reclaim this 6,600 area now, we've absorbed around here, price consolidated around here for 15, 20 minutes, and now we're seeing some large aggressive buying recapture the 6,600. This may become more interesting for me to just target a pop, probably back up 12, 15, 20 area. We're reclaiming that 20 EMA also, right around 6,600. Might have missed it. I was talking here and I might have missed it. There was a little pullback here at 66.01, 98 as this aggressive buying came in. So this is important to see here if this sustains, or obviously if we sweep back down and this fails back under 6,600, then not going to be so key. It could just be a buyer trap and we keep grinding lower. But I'm liking what I see right now, how we had this consolidation down here. We saw a lot of aggressive buying come in, shift this structure. And again, if this was just a random pop with small volume, it wouldn't be so key. But what we're seeing is a lot of large buying volume coming in here. And like I said, I was looking at the effort and reward of how price moved here. Now I want to see it. Do we pull back again with some weaker selling? That is a good entry opportunity. Or does this thing absorb these buyers and dump back down? Goodness, come on. It's not even going to pull back. Well, this thing might just shoot into the target with no pullback here now. So unfortunately, the only real entry opportunity here was this week's selling that I saw. Now, the next thing is if this just turns into a relief bounce pop and it fails, and that's why that's the target here that I was looking at, was this area around 15, 20. If this pop-up here fails and rejects with strong selling, then this could just turn into a relief bounce and another leg lower. So we got prior day lows around this area, around 12 to 15. We saw this large aggressive selling that broke those lows. under this initial balance area around 66.20. So 66.20, that wasn't actually the initial balance area, but it was a large order that I was looking at yesterday that came in yesterday morning. 66.21, also anchored VWAP level there. So a few things there. Yeah, price and volume analysis is key. So in addition to, all that, right? So just putting it all together here. I like the structure that we saw for this pop up here, right? I liked that for a potential long. I didn't see the entry for it, but now what I'm watching is this area. Oh, is it rejecting now? This area around that anchored VWAP, around that level there, which is the bottom of this area that we broke down here, right? We see for the price action boys in the chat, fair value gap, I think you guys would say there on the break of those lows. So that's a potential rejection point there. Especially now that structures from that balance range that we were in before has broken down. So if you see a big green bubble, somebody said, the volume doesn't lie. We see the big green bubble, but price didn't move higher. That tells us there's big passive sellers absorbing them, right? That's absorption. And that's equally valuable information. If big orders come in and move price, or if they come in and they don't move price and price stalls at an area, that is also valuable information. Yeah, so right now what I'm watching is, does that retest up here fail if I see confirmations up here to go short, another drop lower? That's potentially in play. We're coming back down into that zone here around 6,600 as well. I don't like it as much now, to be honest with you, seeing how those buyers got rugged, but it could still bounce here. Seeing something like this form, which is kind of a new intraday plan, better on the first surge. If we see, buyers try to surge out of there and fail, becomes a little more iffy to me. But it did hold. Saw a bid come in here at the 95s. I'm looking at this range here where we consolidated and rallied out of, right? It's like a intraday area of demand that has formed now. Will it hold the bottom of the day on its shoulders? Don't know. Not saying that. But just a key structure that has formed here. Now, the next thing is these big sellers where price broke down this level here, prior day lows, which just rejected on this pop here. Didn't quite get up to my area of interest though. My area of interest was a little bit higher up there near 66, 12, 15, 20 area. Good questions in the chat, though. Stuff to watch out for here. Let me know in the chat if you learned something from doing analysis on order flow today. If it helped you see something more clearly, if you learned something that aligns with order flow and maybe price action that you already look at, or if you are already an order flow analyst, trader, let me know in the chat. Joanna Gray said, yes, thank you so much. Awesome. Yeah, I do look at session highs and lows as well. Open highs, lows and closes, always key. Key levels of support and resistance. Key levels and support and resistance, especially that line up with order flow, like big orders that I see on the tape. Also key, low volume nodes, high volume nodes, areas where people are moving the market. Do you consider trading sessions with your setup? Yeah, I primarily, to be honest with you guys, I primarily just trade the New York session open. So like 9:30 to 11. And within that, I would say majority of my best trades are just within like 9:45 and 10:30. Nanya Biz said, I learned how to really interpret the movement of the bubbles. Combining that with other technical analysis really helped today. Thank you. Great job, Nanya Biz. Kais Chi said, also thank you to Chart Fanatics Live for the opportunity and putting this together. Appreciate that. Appreciate the team on the back end making these things happen for you guys. Make sure you smash the like. It's free to do. That's all we ask. Helps us out a ton. Helps more people find this education that we're offering for you guys. Free value, free giveaways. Tape's pretty slow here. Not a ton of excitement. You can see how there was, once we formed this consolidation structure and we broke out, you can see how the tape got a little excited there about it, but it's pulled back. And just look at the size of the bubbles. That just tells me there's just not a lot of excitement or momentum here right now. Pretty small. Like maybe something happens, maybe it doesn't, but it's just, I don't see anything high probability here. There's just very small bubbles, small volume. Love how the footprint and heat map align and interpret them for key levels. %. Yeah, once you start layering in volume analysis and things like that, it really helps you in market auction analysis, order flow, reading the tape, whatever you want to call it. It really helps you hone in on what works and what doesn't. And when you have a focus on something specific that you're working, whether it's price action strategy or that with order flow and everything, then it helps you also, if you stay open-minded in the session and you know what you're looking for, it also helps you clearly avoid what's not that, right? And that's probably what most people struggle with is kind of discretionary filtering of things that are not good quality, that are not it, right? And the more experience with your discretionary strategy that you have, the more you just get a feel for when that's it, right? And other times it's just not it. The volume isn't there or a confirmation isn't there, right? So being able to filter the signal from the noise, as far as when the opportunity is there, context makes sense, location makes sense, confirmations are solid, it's, we're green light, go, right? But then at other times, right, when you clearly identify that that's not there, it helps you really filter out the signal from the noise. And a lot of people are not able to do that, especially as newer traders. And so they can't filter out what's signal and what's noise for a trade setup. And everything just looks like signal. And they're just like fire, 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 right? And that's when people are FOMO trading, over trading, going green to red, right? And you have to slow down and figure out how to identify the signal from the noise. And for me, at least, being able to analyze order flow, volume profiles, and everything helps me do that. Congratulations, Sergio. You just got selected to win the 3-month TradeZella subscription. Make sure you check out the Chart Fanatics Discord to go ahead and claim that. Hopefully Sergio is still in the chat here. Sergio G21 still here. There he is. Edge Arbiter. The giveaways are selected by the team on the back end based on members' participation in the live stream. So make sure you're staying in the live stream for the link of it. Make sure you're hitting the like, make sure you're commenting and participating, and the team is selecting winners based on that activity. So congratulations, Sergio, and thank you for your participation here. Thank you for everyone joining in, right? In my opinion, there was a nice and balanced move today, but for the most part, since then it was pretty slow, right? I personally did not position for it, but I also identified confirmations that helped me not fight it. So Capital Preservation Friday, I like that. Somebody, was it Marco that said that? I've been using that since, Capital Preservation Fridays. I generally like base hits on Fridays anyway. I look for, especially earlier in the session, base hits. Guys, look at this. As far as just identifying momentum in the market, and that tells us if there's an opportunity or not, right? So look at this. Right, so we had this consolidation down here that started to become interesting, right? And then we had a nice aggressive break of that structure that became interesting here. But then since then on this pullback, we really died out and we're just kind of consolidating here, right? Around that 20 EMA, really died out, volume, volatility. Like it may hold, right? I still kind of would watch for this to either hold or break down, but it's just not so key, right? There's not so much momentum there for me as a short-term trader. If I see, the move just really die, there's just not so much volatility and momentum there for me to capitalize as a short-term trader. It may, but you may have to be very patient. Link to your YouTube and Discord and show the screenshot. Yeah, make sure if you guys want, a couple of people have asked about, educational things. Chart Academy is going to be a fantastic free resource for you guys for trading education. So make sure you check that out. Check out the link there provided by the Chart Fanatics team. And make sure you get on the wait list for that. That will be releasing soon. All right, guys. Well, Capital Preservation Friday is in full effect for me. It's actually been Capital Preservation Week for me. I would just make sure you stay aware of the things that I talked about, volume, volatility, momentum, and key levels, key locations. And just as important as that, when you identify those key things, identify where it's not, right? Middle of the range chop, not good, right? So make sure you learn to identify those things. Capital Preservation Month, Joe said. Yeah, the market goes through different phases where sometimes there's more opportunities that align with your strategy. Sometimes there's not. The important thing is to make sure you're not pressing when there's not, right? So that's going to be a wrap for me, guys. I'm going to go enjoy my Friday. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope this analysis and education helped you, despite me, not taking trades here today. I didn't see great opportunities for me personally. If you did, hope you caught something. But nonetheless, Hope you guys took something away from this, and appreciate everyone tuning in. Make sure you tune in to the channel, like and subscribe for more streams. I'm live here on Fridays. Lots more from the team every day throughout the weeks. I will see you guys next Friday on Chart Fanatics. Until then, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys over in the Discord for those of you that are in there. Peace.